Welcome to Suzanne's studio. I'm Suzanne Barnett, your host, and tonight I am so delighted to introduce Jean Hollands as my guest, and Jean is a quintessential person, and the meaning of that you'll find out at the end of the show. That's our big mystery. Well, anyway, Jean is a licensed marriage counselor. She is an author of 5 books. She does corporate counseling, and I can't even begin. Oh, this is the hottest part. I'm so happy to have Jean as a guest because, guess what? She's been on Oprah. She's been on Good Morning America and many other medias, as well as Suzanne's studio.
All right.
Jean,
thank you.
I am really glad. You're so much fun. And I'm not as nervous as I usually am.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
And tonight, guess what we're going to talk about?
Love is a many-splendored thing.
It's, you know, when we were talking before, talking about the show, I said, Jean, you know, name some subjects. Well, you had a whole list of subjects, but when you came on L for love, that hit me. And it's so universal. So tell, what is love?
Well, I want to say something about like, because there are people who only like other people. They don't have anyone to really love, but they like. So like and love are somewhat the same, you know. But love is hard to get, you know. You can't make somebody love you. You just have to become lovable. And that's the hard part, is trying to make somebody love you. I tried. I had a relationship where I tried to make that guy love me. And I would just do everything in my power to get around to him. I used to follow him going to his allergy shot. I'd go down to Palo Alto, to the clinic there, and I'd park my car because I knew what time he was going to have his shot. I wasn't stalking him. We were friends, but still I thought, well, if we happened to meet in the afternoon, we could go for a cup of coffee.
It
Love
didn't work.
doesn't work that way.
Why don't you think he loved you?
Well, I wasn't the right person for him. I wasn't the image that he had in mind at the time.
Well, I don't know if this is part of the question or not, but I think it's a very important question. How do you get over someone that you really love and the other person doesn't love you back? How did you get over this guy?
Well, I moved on to the next love. So you can't say goodbye unless you say hello. So when people are grieving a loss or someone who won't love them, I always say, get to the next hello. And that doesn't mean hello to the next person. That could mean hello to your next activity. Do something that's going to give you passion, that's going to make you feel loved by what you're doing. So that's how you get over it. You get on to the next event. And it isn't always the next person, but it's, you know, start to join a new ski club or a book club or write your memoirs. Do something that's different for you.
Is that what you would tell your clients when they would come to you?
I've told them that 1,000 times. I've most said that 1,000 times. You can't say goodbye unless you say hello.
Oh. That's very good. That's very good to remember. And it says, you care, but this is all part of it, and you can't care back.
Yeah.
Yeah, what does that mean?
It means I could care so much for someone, and that person may not care back at me, just doesn't care about me, and that's just the way it is. For some reason, I'm not in line to be cared for by the person that I really want to have cared for me.
And this isn't a man-woman thing.
It's anyone.
Anybody.
It's about friendship as well. I've had people I wanted as a friendship, and they'd give me some little hello, and you know, it got exciting for a while, and I thought, okay, we'll be good friends. And then next thing I know, they weren't talking to me anymore, or they were trying not to talk to me. And so sometimes it doesn't match. Just doesn't match.
Well, as an aside, not as a client, but you're the type of person, I mean, this is my opinion, that whatever you do it deeply, you do it with passion, if you really enjoy it. So one of the things, like my dad was a psychiatrist, and how do you avoid getting involved with your clients' patients?
Well, it was always easy. I learned from the top that we were going to be separate and that my job was to help the client feel better about himself or herself, not for me to feel better about myself. And so I was always able to do that. And then I had a mentor, Virginia Satir, who Jules, our friend, doesn't like her. But anyway, she was very open. She didn't have the boundaries that some psychologists or psychiatrists have. So she would talk to people who, she could go to the wedding of some clients. She could go to their baby's christening or something. So she had those. I had some of those boundaries open for me too, so that I could be all right. At least I could be cordial if I had to be. If I met somebody at a grocery store, I didn't have to ignore them.
Yeah.
Hi, Mary, how are you? I could do that.
But other than that,
But good psychiatrists,
no, they don't do that. And they don't tell you who they have either as their patients.
No.
I used to ask my dad all the time. And after years, he had Frank Sinatra and Ava Gardner.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, he had his practice in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
And it says, leave loving words. It could be the last thing you ever say to that person.
Indeed.
Tell about that.
Well, there are so many people who are mad at their father or their mother or their kid, and they just can't muster up forgiveness. And so I say to my one son who has a father he's not always tickled with, and I always say, it could be the last time you ever talked to him on the phone. So try to say something gentle. And I really believe that. I really believe you never know, when someone's going to step off the cliff. And so try to be, if you love them, if you care about this person, don't leave them with an ugly voice.
With anger. Yeah.
Right.
Very good advice. And it says, years to build trust.
Oh, yeah.
Seconds to destroy it.
Absolutely.
Tell about that.
Well, we have to be careful with human beings because it does take years to build a trust in a relationship. And in 1 second, you can tarnish it and kill it. And that 1 second can be a critical remark. It could be something that they have this little torture chamber about, and you have reached in and turned that torture chamber, and once you've said it, it's over. So you have to be careful. And if you do hurt somebody, and you did, then you have to ask for forgiveness and ask for an apology and give an apology. And people don't really forgive easily. It takes practice to learn to forgive. And we have to forgive ourselves. I always say, if you don't forgive, it's poison. You're carrying poison inside of you because you're not forgiving that person. And that poison is not good for you.
We know what that does.
Yeah. Not good.
Same as stress.
Not good. You're looking at all these. Let me try one, okay?
Okay, yeah.
Oh, I like this one a lot.
And you made all these up yourself.
They're themes that I've had of my life. This one I like. You can get by for charm. Charm can get you by for 15 minutes. After that, you better know something. And there are those of us who really do get by on charm or try to get by on charm. It doesn't always work. So you have to at least admit you don't know what you're talking about, or you admit you haven't really been to Cairo, or admit you've never really had, whatever we're talking about.
Well, today with our texting and all of our, iPhones and stuff, these young people, I don't think they even look at each other. They're so busy. And imagine trying to find dates, these young people.
Yeah. I'm so sad about the fact that human beings don't get to be close to each other. In not love close, but just close, because we're friends now. Because now we're just, something on a piece of metal or piece of glass right
yeah,
there.
yeah.
And it's very hard to stay connected. I think we're going to have to do something very serious one of these days to get people to be close to each other again.
What do you suggest?
A little group therapy, that everybody has to be in some form of group therapy. I had group therapies for 12 years, every Thursday night for 12 years. And what I learned is that everybody began to approve of everybody in the group if they learned the story. Once they learned everybody's story, they couldn't be judgmental of them ever again. And so, if people could get in little close groups and get to know each other and see where their small agony is, they could be more approving of each other. It'll take a while.
And, excuse me, but you know what they say? This is really a killer. That when you judge somebody else, you're judging yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And that's to me, that's really very important, because if I see something in you that I don't like, it's obvious that it's something in myself that I don't like.
Yeah. Or something just the opposite of that that's triggering.
Yeah.
We trigger each other.
Yeah.
I like this one. When you're heartbroken, the world doesn't stop with your grief. Just doesn't stop. My son died, and I had to go home all by myself from the memorial, and I had to stop at Safeway to get some goodies that we were going to serve at the reception at our house. And I walked into Safeway, and I was just a mess. But I walked in there to get these few little things, and they weren't nice to me. And one person pushed me, and another person just said, "Will you hurry up?" And I want to scream, "My son just died, leave me alone." And I didn't. But I realized that, that's my grief, not their grief.
Yeah. And people, well, I don't want to say it because I'm getting too cynical. Read another one.
All right.
No, what I was going to say is that I think most everybody is so into himself or herself.
Yeah, we get
that
there.
It's very hard to really be that sensitive.
Yeah. About love.
Yeah.
I used to sit in restaurants, and if I would watch a couple sitting in a restaurant and not talking to each other, I would think, oh, they're in bad shape. But I've learned over the years now that couples who argue vehemently may be still in love. And people who who never have a cross word, they say, may not be in love. And people who sit across from each other in a restaurant have just had too many lunches together or too many dinners, maybe 150 of them or 600 of them. And so there isn't much left to say, but that doesn't mean they don't love each other. That doesn't mean they can't skip home to the, to up the front porch. And I had to stop being judgmental of that. I'm an extrovert, of course.
Yes.
So I like people to talk to me.
Yeah.
But there are people who aren't extroverts. They want to back off. They can't handle the energy that someone like me might put on them just by talking to them.
But what about people that have been married 50, 60 years? What do they have to talk about anymore?
Well, they can talk about politics. They can talk about the neighbors. They will talk about their children or their grandchildren or their dogs, their cats, the mouse that just ran out. They'll find things to talk about. And they don't need to talk. They don't need to talk as much. She's sitting there doing her needlepoint, and he's sitting there just rocking, or maybe they're watching TV.
Yeah.
But they're content. Most of the time they're content.
Which is better, to have wild, passionate feelings and love, or contentment?
Well, it depends on the person. Some people want just contentment, and others just want wild, passionate.
What would you like?
Oh, I like a little
like
of both. I had a couple who were going on a vacation, and they said, "Oh, it's going to be crappy." They were going to Africa, It's going to be crappy because our vacations are always bad, they said. I go, wait a minute. They've been married 50 years. I said, wait a minute. Now, here's a new vacation. I want you, Charles, to promise me that 50% of the time this vacation is going to be good. And Lulu, the other 50%. But if you can each decide that at least 50% of the vacation is going to be the way you want it to go, hey, that's good odds. That's better than baseball. You know, we get 33% in baseball, and you think you're good. So 50%. Now, in order to do that, I had to convince them that each would take responsibility for that one half of the time. And they had to choose days. You know, every other day was his and hers. And on her day, she got to do everything that she wanted. On his day, he got to do everything. And so they took responsibility for the relationship. Well, this couple, after 50 years, I get an email or a postcard from them saying this is the best vacation we ever had.
Wow. How nice is that?
Just because they took responsibility.
What was the best part of your profession for you?
Well, it's still going on. I still see people.
Yeah, tell.
And the best part is making sure that somebody's changed their life completely, that they have a different response to themselves, that they're hopeful again, or that they're willing to try a new situation. When I did a lot of corporate work, it was always fun to try to get the vice president of marketing to try to understand the vice president of engineering, because they two different ways of thinking. And so it was always fun to try to help them to understand each other. Not easy.
Was it I mean, it was a possibility, but was it successful?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Yeah.
Sometimes one of them would have to go. That rhymed.
I have a couple of questions for you.
Please.
This is really a very, well, you know, I don't say cool. I always say, when I say hot, that means it's really important, okay? What is your purpose in life? Yours, not anybody else's, yours.
To comfort others and have a good time while I'm doing it. Because you can comfort somebody and still have a good time. Get something back for yourself.
Yeah. That's very nice.
Thank
Very
you.
nice.
What's your purpose?
My purpose is just I'm so old, I just want to stay alive for a bit longer. My birthday's next week, and I always get a little down about that, because even when I turned 30, I was upset. So nothing neurotic about me, right?
No,
but
no.
Thank God I'm
You're
alive.
going to be past 30 soon.
Not too soon.
Not too
soon. And then this is one of your questions. This is your life, perhaps your only one. Maybe all you have left is to live it.
That's right. This is the
Boy,
first day of the rest of your life.
Yeah,
I love that
yeah,
phrase. Yeah.
Yeah. And what did they say? This life is not a, what's the word?
Merry-go-round?
No. It's not a, it's something, oh God. There, if I was 30, I would know the word. In other words, it's not a pre-performance. This is it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know
yeah.
that saying.
Yeah, this is all you get. This is the one
This
time
is
on
it.
the stage.
Yeah, this is
You
it.
don't get another play.
Now, you were also a sports counselor.
Oh, my best fun of my whole life
Tell.
was to be a sports psychologist.
What was that like?
It was kind of a happenstance that I got the job, but I did. It was the American Basketball League for Women, and it was the 1990s, and they had 9 leagues around the United States. Is before the NBA bought all these girls up. So these were women who'd gotten to play basketball for the first time in the United States professionally. And I got to go to the 9 different teams to help them, because the coaches had never coached these other women who'd played overseas for all their lives, 7 years. I had one living with me for a while, and she said, "This is my first Thanksgiving in 7 years." Otherwise, she'd been overseas playing basketball. So I got to coach the kids and the coaches, or the coaches and the general managers, because there was never enough money.
Were their problems any different because they were sports people, would you say?
Oh, some of the problems were sports issues, you know. I didn't get to play enough. But, you know, in general, as someone who did a good job of their life usually did a good job on the court. And the coaches who had a kind of a mellow existence in life did better than those who were frantic all the time. Mm-hmm. It was fun. I love sports.
And you do love sports.
Oh, I love sports.
What's your favorite sport?
Baseball, basketball, and football.
Football.
However, the Warriors are my most favorite.
Well, thank goodness.
And I had a son who was a professional
excelled.
baseball player.
Oh, really?
Not the one who died, but another one. And that was quite exciting.
So you just love sports.
Love sports. I love the sport of life.
Okay. Here's one of my final questions. Of all the talents that you have, and you're such an author, and I know you can write a whole chapter in, what, an hour? It just pours out of you.
It does.
How does that happen?
Well, in the first grade, I won a contest for my literature in the first grade. So I grew up thinking I could write. And then if somebody tells you you're pretty good at it, you think you are. So I've been thinking I are the whole time. And then I got better at it. And I like writing. It's therapy for me to write. I write every day.
Well, I think you've already answered the question before I asked you. Of all the talents you have, which is the one that resonates with you?
I guess writing. Although I like to be with people. I get a lot of people telling me they like to be around me.
Well, that's so interesting because on the one hand, it has to be quiet, and the other, it's the opposite.
It is. There's two edges of the book.
Well, that's why you're multi-talented
Yes.
and quintessential. What can't you do?
Oh.
What can't you do well?
Oh, I can't. I'm not very good at math. I hate housekeeping. I can't ice skate. Right now, I can't even walk very well. I've got some ankle problems. So, you know, there's just a lot of things I can't do. I can't be patient for too long.
What do you think, well, what do you attribute that to?
The lack of patience.
Yeah.
I grew up with a family that was very busy. My father was a very active human being who always had a project going, and I admired that. And so I just got in the groove of being busy. I like it.
But now from my psychiatric background, you had such a good childhood.
I did.
Right. And I think that makes such a difference
Oh, yes.
in your later life,
Oh,
don't you
of course.
think?
I'm so sorry for people who didn't understand what it felt like to be loved by a parent. It's such a hard life to start.
And for my final question, I'm into final questions now. Do you think that therapy really works?
Oh, of course I do.
More than drugs?
Oh, of course. Well, you know, it depends on
Yeah.
the level of dysfunction.
Yes.
If someone is physically dysfunctional, they need some physical help, like a diabetic would need some insulin.
Mm-hmm.
So there are times when you do need the right drugs, and there are times when you just need to express yourself or to share your feelings and let somebody else acknowledge them. And I think it works. I've been doing it.
How long? How long, Jean?
Well, 30, 40 years. I had a company for 35 years, and I loved every minute of it. And I still have someone walking in my house periodically, every week, and I'm so happy when they walk in because I want to work with them, and they enjoy it, and it's good.
Well, I hope you will never retire.
I hope not, too.
And you still have a good memory.
Yeah,
Yeah,
some
no,
of
you do.
Some of
No.
it's good.
Yeah.
When it's good, it's good.
It's good. Yeah. So what advice would you give? Because we've got to get back quickly
Love.
on the subject of love.
Love.
Yeah.
Love and like, just love yourself, first of all. And if you don't have a partner, if you don't have a good friend, if your friend just died, we live in a retirement home where lots of our friends have died. And so it's hard when your best friend is not available to you anymore. And so, you know, you have to take very good care of yourself. Oh, I talked to one woman the other day, and she said, oh, I know how to take care of myself. She says, when I am really sad, I'll tell you what I do. I go down to Bloomingdale's, and then I go into the coffee shop there, and I get a popover. I get tea and a popover, and I am so happy with myself. So she knows how to take care of herself.
We all do it in different ways. Give me a shopping center. Give me a flea market. Are you
Right.
that way at all?
No, I'm not
you
much
were
of a
the
shopper.
opposite.
I'm not a
yeah,
shopper,
yeah.
but-
Well, Jean, thank you so much for being
You're
here.
welcome. It was fun.
Really, I have looked forward to interviewing you because you're so outgoing and you say it the way it is.
I look forward
really.
to being with you too. And this lady is very popular in the place where she lives.
Thank you.
And so everybody enjoys her very much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And I want to thank my absolute wonderful creative crew. Without my crew, I always say this because I have to acknowledge them because I really love them and more than like them. And of course, here's the latest. I want to thank our audience for watching. What would we do without you? And you know what? I can't wait to see you next time. Bye-bye. Mwah, mwah.